Hi there, guys. It's Ted Lincoln's Fishing Life. It's New Year's Day 2022. Man, I'm glad 2021's done. At least I caught a lot of good fish in 2021. I'll show you my little stats that I made up right here. Not as good as 2020 as far as size, but man, I caught a lot of 6 and 7 pounders in 2021. Which didn't surprise me when I added it all up, because there was several days that I caught double 6s and one day where I caught 2 7s in a day. But still, awesome year for fishing. Not so great for some of my other parts of my life, and I'm sure everyone else's, but here we are at 2022. I'm out on the water. I already caught my first fish of the year, and it's over 7 pounds. That'll be in one of the first bite of the days here for 2022. But we're here to talk about November and December bite of the day. It's a double recap. It's running behind again, guys, so I decided to just put them all together. So here we are. And I'm going to start with number, was it 172? Yeah, 172. This is in here. It's not a very big fish, but it is my first speed crank fish. And I actually have my little tactical bassin crankbait here. But before I explain to you how I did all this, let's watch the bite of the day. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, so if you watch my videos, you're aware that I don't fish crankbaits, especially deep crankbaits, very much. It's just, you know, I'm usually fishing in this kind of stuff. That doesn't mean I shouldn't be. There's plenty of lakes around here where there's a deep crankbait bite. And I've tried a 6XD. I hooked up to a real big one this summer on a 6XD. It got off before I saw it, but man, I knew it was big. But when we got our first little cold front, I decided to give speed cranking a try. I mean, it helped that Tactical Bassin had just put out their whole crankbait video again. And I've actually had this crankbait. It's the Tactical DD. I bought this the day it dropped. I was actually placing a tackle warehouse order like super late at night, early in the morning, and the video for this came out, and I went on the website and there was like 1 or 2 colors left, so I grabbed one. And so it's been sitting in my box. I've maybe fished it twice. Never got even a bite on it. Changed all this day. I went to offshore spot in Lake Santa Fe that I know. I grabbed some fish and I was like, well, if I'm ever going to catch a crankbait fish, or try to, this is it. Grabbed my bigger crankbait rod. It's the 13 Fishing... which one is this? The Fate Crankbait 7.9, paired with my old school Calcutta 100. I wish the reel were a little faster. If I end up doing more speed cranking, I'm going to definitely try to pair up another crankbait rod with more of a 7-to-1 type reel. This works. It would get old if you did it all day, but for the little I did that day, it definitely worked. This also makes a good small swim bait, and it's also what I throw the water vole on, which we'll get back to later. But 50-pound braid to, I believe I had a 14-pound mono leader. I know a lot of people don't throw braid to leader for crankbaits, especially that heavy, but like I said, I don't throw crankbaits that much. I end up throwing this more as a wake bait, small glide bait rod. And you know, where I fish, I need that 50-pound line just in case. Plus, I can't afford to replace all those swim baits if I keep losing them. Oh, and I don't want to lose the fish either. But so yeah, I went out to the spot. I actually tried a couple different crankbaits, put this on, and maybe on the second cast, I was graphing the fish. I knew where they were, and I was doing exactly what they were saying. You know, crank, 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 pause. I was actually, because the reel is so slow, I was kind of pulling into it and then reeling up the slack so that it would stop and I could still catch up. And that, you know, whatever, a couple pounder nailed it right after the started moving, after a pause. And I just had to throw that in there into one of my Bite of the Day videos because it's not something I normally do. It is something I'm thinking about focusing on if we ever end up with a cold winter, like I was planning on doing it this month or I guess last month of December, but it's been like 70 degrees and sunny every day. And so I've been catching, flipping and punching on reed mats and lily pad roots. It's like pre-spawn. It's crazy. But January and February, coldest months in Florida, so I'm pretty sure I'll get a chance. I'm excited to give it a try. Like I said, I might try a different reel on here if I do some more of it. But look forward to hopefully showing you some big fish caught on a speed crank. I know it'll do it. I know crankbaits in general do it, but it's just not my confidence. But either was the jerkbait. Now it's like my go-to. So something I need to work on. 2022 might be the year of the crankbait. Maybe. So far it's the year of the mega bass survival jig, but that's only one fish in. Thanks, Oliver. So next up is the topwater fish, but this is not my normal gunfish 150 or 100 even, or 95, gunfish 95. It's one I throw all the time. It's not my normal gunfish video. I had to work a little extra hard. Here it is, me skipping a gunfish under a tree. Watch the bite and I'll explain to you what's going on. There we go. That's the kind of bite you want. Oh man, that was awesome. Right up in the trees. Just drop good fish. This is not the first time this has happened to me even recently, but it's the first time I captured the whole event on film. For some reason, every time this has happened, my camera's been off. Where I know I have to get either my frog or my topwater or whatever under the tree. So I probably made 3 or 4 casts to that tree, and I would get near the edge of the tree, kind of under the tree, caught in the tree. And then finally I just got this perfect cast. And this little gunfish, the 90, will skip if you hit it right. It's got a flat bottom. It's one of the reasons I like it. You can't really skip a popper. You can't really skip the bigger one. But I just started fishing. Oh, it's stuck on the carpet. This is the 115, and it's more shaped like the shower blows. You can't skip that one, but the 115 and 95 you can skip, and you can see I got this under there, and literally I wouldn't even say a full twitch. It just started to twitch it, and that 4-pounder just blew up on it. Like I said, I threw in around that tree. Like if she was going to come out and eat, she would have come out and eat, but I had to land on her head for her to grab it. So I've been working on my skipping. It helps to use a short rod, which is what I do with my topwater. I actually just replaced my topwater rod. That Bite of the Day video actually just came out today. It'll be in next month's recap. But I throw a 6.6 medium heavy. This is a Dobyns Fury. It was on Black Friday sale. I love this rod. But in that video I was still throwing my old school Bass Pro Shop Bionic blades. I also love that rod. It was very comfortable. It had like an ergo grip thing, and it was pretty light, and it had the big guide to the connection knot I use, because I run 30-pound X9 braid to 17-pound mono leader like 95% of the time when I'm throwing top water. Same reel is in that video as my top water reel. You've seen it before. Shimano SLX XT, the 8-2-1. Throwing the little medium-sized gunfish. There's one smaller than that, the 75. I actually have those, but usually I have to throw that on spinning gear. I can sometimes get away with throwing it on this. But skipping. I like the XT for it more than the regular SLX because it's got the dial to fine-tune your cast control, your anti-backlash stuff, the centrifugal brakes. And when you're doing skipping, you need a little bit more adjustment than just normal casting. Especially if you're changing lures and sizes and shapes. Sometimes you just need to adjust it a little. And I've gotten pretty good at using this XT, SLX XT. And a shorter rod, like I said, helps you get that angle, and it's more accurate in general. I always throw a shorter rod for topwater anyway, because the way I have to walk the bait, because I showed you in the last recap, I broke my wrist pretty bad, so I have a metal plate in there. I can't do the downward walk the dog. I have to do a side one. But so a shorter rod helps me from just slapping the water all the time with the rod tip. And it's more accurate. I grew up fishing a 6.6. It feels comfortable in my hand. I would never want to throw anything bigger for where I usually throw topwater. Next up is bite number 174. Sometimes you just gotta throw a spinnerbait. I caught 21 bass this day. This was the only good one I got on film. I've been having some problems with my GoPros, so I actually missed a lot of my good fish in the last October, November fishing. But check out the bite of the day and we'll talk more about it. That's a good one. There we go. That's what you come out here for. So that was my spinnerbait day. 21 bass on Lake Santa Fe. This was in the fishing report, so I don't mind telling you guys. Crazy day. Awesome day. And you know, I don't know, it was a little windy, a little overcast. Picked up the spinnerbait. I was throwing the War Eagle compact spinnerbait in that video, which I lost that day in a tree. So I don't have that to show you. I'll show you a picture of it. But it's just the War Eagle compact and kind of with a hologram blade and kind of a translucent shad color. But I was throwing that on my lower gear ratio standard SLX combo, medium heavy 7.2. That's the slower for me, so it's a 6-to-1, where it's a 6-to-1 30-pound braid to 17-pound mono leader. I always throw a leader onto a spinnerbait just because I throw braid as a main line, and the mono just helps. It's always mono. It just helps keep the line out of the blades a little bit. It's not perfect, but it definitely helps, because I hate it when the braid gets in the swivel or in the split ring. Yeah, at least the mono won't get in between the layers of the split ring on the blade. That's the worst. But yeah, I caught several. I think the biggest one that day was 6. This one was, what, 5 or something? I forget. It says in the video. It was an amazing day. And like I said, some days it was a cool fall day. It wasn't cold. It's colder than it is today in freaking January 1st. But this was an area of the lake where I had luck on topwater and a few other things maybe a week or two before. And so I knew the fish were there. And I don't know, I was just there at the magical time, picked up the right bait. After I lost that spinnerbait, I started throwing one of the Z-Man sling blades, like this. And a shad color, this is the bluegill one. This is the one I was using out here today, so that's what's out here. Between those two spinnerbaits, I caught 21 bass. It's awesome. So at the end of, what was it, at the beginning of November, my van's transmission went out, took a crap on me. So a lot of the videos and like this point forward were ones that I either got out with somebody else or snuck it on the roundabout, I think once, and got a video. Or I'm pulling up some older ones from 2021 that I hadn't shown you guys. And since we're almost at the end of the year, I figured I might as well bust them out. And this happens to be one of them. This is bite number 175. It's me fishing Mike Bucca's bullgill. It wasn't the biggest fish I caught on it, so I hadn't made a video out of it, but it's still a good catch. Why don't you check it out? So there we go, bullgill. That's a better one. Second cast with it. Yeah, man. I tied it on like, oh, there we go. Look at that. Yeah, I wish I could show you Mike Bucca's bullgill and the rod I was using in that video, but I broke that rod and I lost that swim bait. That was painful. That's the most expensive bait I lost in 2021. It's like a $60 bait. I try not to throw anything over $50. I got that one on a Black Friday sale, and I broke that Corrado rod that's in that video, but since been replaced with my Dobyns Fury. But the reel I was using, Corrado 200 with the Gomex's handle. This is also on my crankbait reel. I didn't mention that on my Calcutta 100. And since I lost that bullgill, I've been fishing the gantarel and the gantarel junior a lot, and they've kind of taken up my bluegill hardbait. I'd say the gantarel junior was the #1 big fish bait of 2021. I caught more 7 to 8 pounders on that than anything else. Next up is, a popper. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, that was a 3-pounder on a bullgill. It shows you 6-inch big bluegill bait. Even 2-3 pounders nail it. Still so much fun to catch anything on that big bait. The biggest fish I've caught on big swim baits was actually that same day. I hear fish over there. On that same day I caught an 8-9 I forget the exact weight, but it's at the end of this video actually, in the top 5 of 2021. And that's the biggest swimbait bass I've caught to date as well. So one of these days I'm going to pick myself up a couple more of those bucca bullgills. I was basically burning and pausing with that in that video over some open water coontail flat that's right there. So you can't really see it, but I know it's there. So I'm just kind of swimming the edge. You've probably seen me fishing the same area using spinnerbaits and underspins. I think there's even an underspin video later in this recap, the same area. But in that was in late summer, and those fish just sat up onto that flat with the coontail. And then one week we had a bunch of rain. They left and they haven't been back yet. Or I haven't been back there since they've been back. It's been at least a month since I fished that lake. But they just disappeared. They went up shallow to see what was going up. Because the lake came up like several inches in a few days, and you want to get fish in close to the bank, give them like a late summer day and a few days, and add 3 inches of water to your lake. They're going to go shallow, especially here in Florida. But like I said, bullgill bite. Hopefully I can show you a picture of one, and it was on my old Corrado swimbait rod, which I broke, which was just an 8-foot Corrado heavy swimbait rod. It's a pretty awesome rod. I miss that rod actually. I mean, I love my Dobyns, but that Calcutta that Corrado had a special, it was a little stiffer. It made a really good smaller weedless swimbait, like smaller as in 5 to 7 inch with the beast hook, because it was a bit stiffer but still had a good tip. But they don't make it anymore. I haven't looked at the new Corrado lineup to see if they put a 8-foot swimbait rod in there. This was the last generation of Corrado. Great rod for the bullgill too. It was just a little stiffer, so working it faster, it seemed to work well. And with the big EWG hooks I had put on that bullgill, every fish that bit it came in. So what's next? Bite number 176. It's going to be a jerkbait fish. This is on Rodman. Check it out. I got one. Yeah. Jerkbait. He's digging. Does not want to come up. Good one, that's why.
Nice, dude.
That's a big one. Got both hooks though. Come here. So yeah, bite number 176, jerkbait fish. Got my jerkbait rod set up. Got a different luckycraft jerkbait on there right now. This is the one I had in that video, the exact one. Little luckycraft pointer in like a natural shad color. I forget the exact color, but it's a really nice shad colored jerkbait. Another Ollie's find on my 13 Fishing Fate Black or Fate Green. With my Bass Rise Shimano 18, Bass Rise 18, so the 2018 version of it. 30-pound braid to a 14-pound monoliter, I believe in that video. No, 17-pound. Rodman, I throw heavier leader. There's stumps, trees, mudfish, all sorts of things. And usually I don't want the jerkbait to go as deep as it can go. And matter of fact, I was fishing in 3 to 5 foot of water, and I think this jerkbait's rated to 5 to 8 foot. So if I could keep it up and only make it hit 5, it seemed to do better. This is the same spot that was in last month's recap. It's kind of an area with current and a break from a farm easement when they flooded the field. So it goes from 5 to about 3, and it connects the 2 mats in terms of the depth. So the fish weren't all on the mat or under the mat. Some of them were just sitting on the edge of that hump or that break. Sometimes they're on the top, sometimes they're behind, depending on how much current was coming through. That spot was like my go-to spot for about 2 weeks, and then it just, we didn't get any more rain, there wasn't any more current. A bunch of other fishermen found it. Like, when I first got there, maybe saw 1 boat, and 2 weeks later there'd be like 5 boats within the day. But that's what happens. I'm not the only one who can figure this stuff out. But I did figure out that day that they didn't want a topwater anymore. That I got some early on a topwater, put on the jerkbait, caught that chunky one. That was it's always nice to catch big fish in a jerkbait when they nail it like that. I was doing like 2 fast twitches, like pretty hard actually. This thing is pretty loud, and the water there is pretty dark, and the current was moving, so I wasn't trying to be subtle. But then I'd pause it for just a second, and then give it 1 more, and then I'd go back to 2. So it's 1, 2, pause, 1, pause, 1, 2, pause, and yeah, nailed it. This jerkbait, I did my little jerkbait trick, which I will bring up in a video sometime when I do my jerkbait video. But I have a double split ring in the back. If I feel like they might be swiping it, and I have on the rear, I have a G finesse treble, which you can barely even touch that thing without getting hooked. And unlike a lot of people, I do put EWG in the front of a lot of my jerkbaits, especially the 2-hook ones. I don't know, I just feel like they're going to get that back hook. And when this second hook comes around, if they have it in their mouth, I've had this thing, like these KVD short shank triple grips. Man, they've landed me some big fish. And I know it's that hook that made it come in. So yeah, that's my little jerkbait trick for this video. Double split rings on the back makes it so that if they're nipping at it, they're going to get that hook. It also gives the hook a little more freedom so they can't shake as well. And the triple grip EWG short shank in the front. And I run that on the swimbait set, or on the crankbait set, or everything, no, jerkbait setup that I was showing you. And I have decided on clips. I use clips with my jerkbaits and crankbaits and my topwaters because I switch them out so much. The owner welded ones. I have to thank Mikey Balls for recommending them. I didn't want to break down and spend that much money just on clips, but they are better. They do work. I'll put a link in the description. So clips, 17-pound line to 30-pound, 17-pound mono to 30-pound braid. My jerkbait setup. And I was fishing transitions from 5 to 3 feet with a current. So it was very specific setup, but they were there and they ate it. So number 179, I've actually posted this one before. I have like a file of unused clips, and I didn't realize I'd made a video of this, but watch it again. It's stroking the swim jig in hydrilla, or between hydrilla. This one's on Orange Lake. Check it out. Bite number 177.
Got one. I knew there would be something there.
swim jig. But yeah, I made a bite of the day, I think, earlier in 2021 with this footage. But basically what I'm doing is I'm bouncing the swim jig off the bottom like you would a football jig. The bass were eating shad. They'd stop eating crankbait to top waters, but I could get them to bite a Ned rig sometimes. But man, just letting that swim jig fall and then lifting the rod and letting it fall. Sometimes, I mean, it's an underrated swim jig technique in hydrilla especially. And just doing that between the mats of hydrilla. Like I said, I already did this one, so just kind of threw it in there again because it was listed. It's almost 180 bite of the day videos before I accidentally repeated one, so that's not so bad. So this is part of me trying to find videos to show you guys because, you know, I couldn't get out on the water for pretty much all of November and most of December. This is me shiner fishing. This is actually from 2 years ago, but it's around the same time of the year in December. And I don't shiner fish often, but when I do, I like to catch fish like this. Why don't you check this out? Bite number, was it 180? 178. We're at 178. Robin shiner fishing. Best of 2019. Look at that sucker. Holy crap, that's a big one. Perfectly hooked. Look at him. 8-pounders are always fun. That's probably one of the bigger shiner fish I've got. It's funny, I've caught a lot of really big fish on lures while I was shiner fishing because I'll pitch and punch and throw worms because you get bored just sitting there. This time I got one though, and I was on my old shiner rod setup, which I don't have currently set up anymore. I need to set up another one, but that's on a 7-foot heavy with my lightning rod. Just has to be a pool cue for that kind of fishing. With my Calcutta 100 with 50-pound braid, I use yellow braid to a balloon, to a swivel, to a leader. I don't know, I still think balloons are better than corks, and styrofoam doesn't degrade, you know, latex does. So, I don't know, everyone has an opinion. And I was using a big circle hook, not a kale hook. Shiner fishing is not as easy as you think it is. There's a whole technique to it. In fact, sawgrass bassing, or major bass now, Captain Mikey made a whole video about us during that time period. He wasn't with me on that day, I was by myself. But I'll link his video on us, mostly him, but I was there helping him try to figure out the best way for us to shiner fish, because it also depends on how big the shiners you're using, what kind of cover you're around. It's not just as easy as throwing a shiner on a hook and throwing it out there. I mean, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just as easy to throw a worm out there and do the same thing. If you want to catch bass consistently on anything, you have to like analyze and figure out what it is you're doing right and wrong. Same with shiner fishing. Well, this is probably the last day I made it out before my van broke down. Out on Rainbow River with my buddy Justin. Actually, my van broke down that night coming back from Rainbow River. But it'd been kind of a slow day. Sun was going down, picked up the popper. Here's bite number 179. 2 yo-zuri popper fish in a row. Good one. Fatty. Look at him spitting up bait. Lowe's yo-zuri popper, man. Did it again. I missed the bite though. So just changed my camera, I forgot to turn it on. But best one of the day. Yep. That's a real bass. There we go.
You looked away for a half a second.
Yeah.
Swallowed it.
That's another healthy one.
They're getting bigger.
That's what I think.
Anti-photo.
What can I say? If you watch my channel, here it is again. yo-zuri popper, 3D popper. I tried some other topwaters. You know, sometimes they want the gunfish, sometimes they want the bullet pop. But if I need a ghost color and I want a popper or something to walk that's small, this is still my favorite. It's casts better. It comes with good hooks, pulls through weeds. Find them on sale for $5. It's hard to beat. My favorite popper, probably my biggest producer of 2021. Out of all the lures I fished was that popper. I didn't get anything over 712, but yes, I caught a 7-pound, 12-ounce bass on this little 3-inch popper. I caught several 7-pounders in 2021, and multiple days with double 6-pounders in one day on this popper or the Berkeley popper, which is the same size. And that was on my topwater rod that's broken now, but replaced now with the Dobyns, but same setup. Shimano SLX XT, 30-pound braid, 17-pound mile leader. I'm using those owner welded clips now on that as well. They're just the best clip so far that I found. They hold up, they don't get snagged a lot, easy to change, they last a while. You do have to replace them. You gotta keep an eye. They will start to fatigue if you keep changing lures a lot, which is why you get them, to change lures a lot. So just keep your eye open. But yeah, that is all the videos from November of 2021. But since we're adding December in there too, we're going to start up with that. Well, I guess I lost this half of the recap video because here I am shooting it a few days later, and it's a lot colder. Still pretty good bite. I caught my first frogfish of 2022 just a little bit ago. But so we're going into the recap for my December bite of the day and the year-end top 5 bites of the day. Not all mine, just the top 5 that I got on video with me. And actually top 2 aren't even me. But we're gonna go right into bite number 180. The Miyagi swimbait on an underspin. Check out the video and then I'll explain to you what was going on. bottom. Yeah, so I've been fishing all afternoon and it's sunset and I realized I hadn't recorded this video. So here we are. Only place I could find out of the wind, out of the sun, and we got a lot of birds around us, so you might see some chiming in. But so that miyagi bite was on this East Coast miyagi swim bait. It's about a 6-inch bait. It's funny, I used to think this was pretty big. Now I just think it's like normal size. On a next size down than this, I don't have one anymore, but this is a VMC underspin hook. Pretty good hook. I don't even remember how I ended up with the VMC hooks, but I think during the hook shortage of 2021, this is the only one I could find. But yeah, the bite was when this was on the bottom, and this has happened to me quite a few times with an underspin, not even a bigger one, even sometimes the smaller one, that they bite and underspin on the bottom, which makes no sense, but couldn't get a bite dragging a normal swim bait on the bottom, and it's kind of hard to drag a spinnerbait on the bottom. But as soon as this hit the bottom, I think they follow it down, and that flash helps, just like when a spinnerbait falls. And then as soon as it hit the bottom, in that video, that bass hit it, and I actually caught about a 7-pounder doing that on a slightly smaller underspin, but the same idea. This was on that offshore coontail. The bigger one was off a set of pads. But it just goes to show you that just because it's a swimming bait doesn't mean you shouldn't try fishing it on the bottom occasionally, especially something weedless like a underspin on an EWG hook. And I actually had that. I got my rod over here. This is the one I didn't grab for the video. On my jig rod, which has a jig on it, which I already said I caught a 7-pounder on it already in 2022. Corrado 6.6 rod on a Sitka 200 reel, 50-pound braid. I believe I was using a 17-pound monoliter in that. I think I've mentioned that I like using this rod for these bigger EWG style weedless hooks. It helps pull that hook through the plastic and get the better hook set than, say, my Dobyns swimbait rod, which is better for the treble hook baits. It's a little more moderate. Don't have to pull quite as hard to get those treble hooks set, but you also don't want to give them as much slack. It's the difference between a big single hook and treble hooks also applies to swim baits. But yeah, don't underestimate the power of underspin on the bottom, or even dragging on the bottom, or bouncing it off the bottom. Not something you would think of doing. And I think probably the first time I got a bite doing it, I wasn't intending to do that. It probably just, it's one of those times where I got a backlash and the bait was on the bottom and I went to reel it up, there was a fish, and then it's like, huh, wonder if that'll work, and it ended up working. That was the day I caught the 7-pounder, which was in a bite video earlier in 2021. But yeah, miyagi is also, it is an amazing little 6-inch swim bait. I need to order some more. This one's all beat up. I glued it back together a few times. Nobody carries these around me, so it has to make it into my tackle warehouse order, and sometimes it's doesn't quite make it. but I'm running low. It's kind of a bluegill-ish color. I forget the name of the color, but that's what I was going for when I bought that. Okay, well, let's go on to bite number 181. Where did that go? I just had it here. Well, looking for that last bait, I just sat on my sunglasses. Luckily they're cheap sunglasses. But here we go. Back to the bite of the day. I'll put on my regular glasses. I need to get new prescription sunglasses anyway. Bite number 181. My December topwater bass in shallow water on the yo-zuri popper. Why don't you go check it out? Just a little stronger. A better fish. So hooked on the side. December, we had a real cold front move in. It's one of the first real cold fronts of the winter. And it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter what time of the year in Florida, you should have a popper or a topwater rod on your boat. You never know when they're up shallow. That was early in the morning, shady side of the lake in less than a foot of water. Shouldn't have caught a fish there post frontal conditions in December, but for some reason it was in there and it wanted my popper. I only made a few twitches before it got nailed. Same topwater rod. I'm actually going to tie this on, take this gunfish off. My older version of this, but same reel, 6'6", medium heavy, 30-pound braid to 17-pound monoliter. Just like all my topwater bites. This is more about not ignoring topwater even if it's cold and technically you're told you shouldn't be throwing topwater. And I think I even have another bite to prove that. So we're getting up to 182. This is a little different. This is a little rig I'm messing with for swim baits, for soft swim baits. I'm actually gonna make a whole soft swim bait video. It's coming soon. And I'll show you how I rigged this. But this was the first good fish I caught on, you know, what I'm calling the T-rig, short for the Ted rig. I might come up with a better name for it down the road. But watch the bite, and then I'll show you a little bit, a sneak peek of what the rig is, all right? There we go. Not a tuner, but a good one. So that wasn't a huge fish, but it was the first good one I got on this kind of setup. And I was on my old Curado swimbait rod. It was a similar MC swimbait baby bass to this. This is the weedless one. This one's a little more narrow than that one. This is a great little bait, actually. With these little spinners put up front on the line on bobber stops. Like I said, I'm doing a video explaining it more. I'm still figuring out the best combo and everything to set it up. What's the best bait? What's the best distance? You know, weedless or not weedless, what kind of rod to throw. But look for a video on that in the next month or so. And then I'm also going to do a hard swim bait, glide bait, like part 2 video soon as well. So yeah, thrown on my 8-foot heavy, 65-pound straight braid swim bait rod, the old Curado 200 reel. It's good stuff. So part of being off the water and trying to find some bites to share with you guys, this was a frog bite that I got this summer that I had never posted. Just got so many 6-pounders, you can only put so many on, right? Especially when you're catching them every week. So check out frog bite. There we go. That's how you get a frogfish. That's a good fish. I'm gonna have to weigh that one. There you go. Look at that. She's a little skinny. I won't weigh her. But I'll get a picture. Well, what can I say about the old Smoky that if you watch my channel you don't know, you haven't heard already. This one's all worn out. I'm actually have just worn out my last couple. I bought like several boxes, and I think it was 4 per box, and I had 4 boxes. I don't know, I went through a bunch of them in the last 1.5 years, so I gotta get some more. But by far my favorite frog of all time, Pad Crasher, an old Smoky. It's just so, it looks like so many things but doesn't look like anything. It kind of translucent, could look like a fish. It's kind of black. It's not huge, casts well, has an amazing hookup ratio. I've never bent out a hook. I've caught 10-pounders on it. It's not the only frog I throw, but if I could only throw one frog, it would be this. And that's on my frog setup right here. SLX combo, but the heavy instead of the medium heavy. Standard SLX 8-2-1, 50-pound braid. I throw 50 just so I can get more line on my reel. I spooled this several times. Calvin was with me when I did it last. One of the last times I did it. You get a good heavy frog with the wind, I can spool that reel with that 50-pound braid. And with the frog, sometimes you want to get it way back in there, because that's the point of having the frog, is you can fish in stuff that you normally couldn't. In fact, that's how I caught my first frog fish of 2022, just a little bit ago. I don't think I had my camera on, but it was awesome. Catch a frog fish in January, right? That was in pads, that 6-pounder, just off the edge. I'm pretty sure she followed it from the edge of the pads out into that little opening. But this was part of the period where my van was still broken down, so I was trying to find some bites to share with you guys, or catches to make into videos to share with you guys. Man, got some loud neighbors. Sun's going down. We gotta catch this sunset bite. So let's break down the last couple. Well, since I started, pretty much my first good fish of 2021 was on the Stealth Blade, which is coming up, and my recap of the top 5. But this wasn't a huge fish, but on a tough day, you can take anything. Why don't you watch it, the video, and then I'll tell you about it. Oh, got one. Chatterbait. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
Biggest one of the day. Boat flip that bitch.
I don't try to boat flip. I know. I'm just saying. I also don't. I totally could, but. Cool. Z-Man jackhammer stealth blade. If you don't know about it, plastic blade version of a chatterbait. I've been pairing up with this big bait shad lately. So this is the same one that's in the video. It was a tough day. We couldn't get a lot of bites, and I was throwing the regular cross-eye jackhammer and couldn't get anything. Put this on. Didn't take very long, and we caught that fish. We had to get out of there. There was a storm rolling in. That was over the summer, and a huge thunderstorm rolled in, and I was having motor problems. It was a tough day, but at least I caught that fish, and I hadn't shared it with you guys. So on my rod that I use for chatterbaits, the Sellus composite Shimano rod, and my Corrado 100 MGL, the old one. 30-pound braid to a 17-pound mono leader in that one. I was trying to use a copolymer for a little while as a leader with the chatterbaits, but I was breaking off too much. But I think I use it in the bite at the end of this video. But yes, they're underlooked the stealth blade. Just because they stopped hitting the regular chatterbait or even the jackhammer doesn't mean they won't hit the stealth blade. So luckily I have friends with boats and cars, so even though most of December and November I had no way to get to my boat to the water, my buddy Chris, who caught his PB with me in 2021, took me out to Lake Alto, and I caught 2 more topwater fish in December. Check it out and tell you more about it. Got it. I think it's a bass. It's not spinning.
Doesn't jump yet. That's bad. Nice. What is that on?
Gunfish.
Oh, the gunfish.
I just retied the topwater.
Yeah, that's what I was throwing earlier. Well, I threw it for a couple. Yeah, it's nice.
Fatty
Yeah, nice.
on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of like suck.
Totally missed the lure, so I didn't really even have it. Ooh, got another one. Yeah, this one's better. Next cast.
I'm up here trying to get my.
Yeah, you should pick up your phone more. Look how fat this one is. Wow, especially back to back like that. Luckycraft Gunfish 95. I think other than the yo-zuri popper and Berkeley popper. This caught me more nice fish in 2021, like over 4-pound fish than almost any bait. Funny thing about this was I caught both this fish while he was on his phone. It seems to happen often when you're with someone and they get a phone call or a message and that put their rod down, and that's when you catch. And those are literally back-to-back fish. On my topwater setup, same setup. It was right before I got my Dobyns rod, so that was the last fish on the old topwater rod, the All-Star. Shimano SLX XT, 30-pound braid, 17-pound monoliter. They weren't giants, but I didn't expect to catch topwater fish that day in that area, but we saw something chasing bait, and like I've said several times, even in this video, I don't really go out without a topwater rod. And it paid off that morning. Same later that day, he caught that one that was on the speedworm that's earlier in the video. It's the same day that there's 2 topwater fish. This video is the same day as the next video, which is coming up, which is also kind of topwater. But this was Chris. He caught a nice fish in super shallow water on a speedworm. Why don't you watch the bite and I'll tell you what I can, but it's his setup, so I can only tell you so much. I saw you pause. Was that a worm?
Yeah, speed worm.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Got a net ready?
Yeah. I will also pull your rods in for you.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No. Yeah, he's still there. That's another good one there. Yeah, so Chris still throws some of this bass stuff on the spinning rod a little too much. The saltwater fishing guy is still in him. He's lucky he got that fish in. I don't know how he does it with those lightweight rods, but he also hasn't caught anything over, 8 pounds where you're fighting it in those pads. It would just scare me to throw the baits he throws in there because you never know what you're going to catch. That was like a 4-5-ish fish, maybe. Not too far before more he caught his PB. And yet again, December, burning a speedworm on the surface, which is one of the great things about a speedworm, swimming worm, is that if you run it either weightless or floater rigged with weightless or with a lightweight, you can easily burn it across the top of cover, just like a Big Easy or it's almost like a weedless whopper popper buzzbait. That's actually my favorite way to fish a speedworm. Don't get me wrong, I'll throw one and swim it or throw one and drag it, but that's what's great about the speedworm. You can do all 3 of those things. And it catches 4-pounders in December in less than 2 feet of water in the pads. I mean, that was pretty awesome. I'm glad I was facing him when he got that bite. sun's going down, so let me get this last wrap up. This is the top 5 bass caught in 2021 on film for the bite of the day. Why don't you watch it, and I'll give you a quick breakdown of each one, because all these bites were already in breakdowns this year, so you can go back and watch a more complete breakdown of each one. But here it is, top 5 bass of 2020 from bite of the day. Oh yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Kink.
Ooh!
That was a...
Oh! That's it.
Oh my god, dude.
Double digit.
Oh my god, dude. On a frog. Oh my god.
Ooh! Ate it.
I'm gonna...
Tear that me.
I have no idea. Yeah, that's a big one. Not full, but big.
Yes!
She can't find her mouth through all the lily pads. Oh, dude, I got her. She's huge.
Oh, dude.
Oh my god. I'm taking a little video here. Dude, look at that mouth. Dude, it's as big as your head, that mouth. Awesome, man. 10 pounder. Let her go here. I'll get the release.
That's probably the most intense 5 minutes or 10 minutes of bass fishing you can ever have.
It was a good year. I didn't get the top 2 fish. That I was with the people when they got the 2 biggest fish, but it was pretty awesome. My first big fish was on my birthday, which is in 2 days again. Z-Man, stealth blade, jackhammer, just like I was saying. Yeah, moving bait in January. I just got lucky. I knew there were fish in that area. I had already caught maybe a 2 or 3 pounder, a couple 2 or 3 pounders in that area. I didn't expect that big fish. But yeah, that was number 5. Number 4 was on the Mike bucca bullgill, which I don't have. I lost, like I said earlier in the last part of the bite of the day recap. Biggest swimbait fish I've caught to date. That was on my old swimbait rod. 8 pounds, what was it? 14 ounces. I caught that during a tournament that Finding Bass with Lewis puts on Instagram. I think that's the biggest fish in his tournament so far, in one of his tournaments so far. Next up is my biggest fish of 2021 was fishing with Atypical Outdoors on my other favorite frog, especially for pads, where this fish was in pads. 13 fishing trash panda. Underrated frog, I think. Great hookup, comes through pads especially really well, which is hard to find. Hooks lay nice and flat and has a great hookup ratio, as you can see. And yeah, luckily my camera was dead, but luckily Eric had his camera on and we got it on tape. Next up is my buddy Justin's PB. That was on a Rego crank and rat. I mean, I can't say much more than that. There's more in the recap that month came from. I'll link all of those down below too, so you can go check out a longer breakdown of some of these bites. And number one, just like I was saying earlier, speedworm. It's my buddy Josh. His new PB, what was it, a 10-13 on the smaller June bug speedworm. Can't beat it. Luckily, I was already on my way towards him. He was on a kayak, I was on my runabout. And I was actually going to go check up on him, and while I was going towards him, he got that bite, and I got to watch the whole fight. If you go watch the full bite of the day, it's pretty good. And I gave a better breakdown in the recap that video is in. Well, hopefully this time, this part of the bite of the day recap, I don't lose it. But it's 2022. I already have one 7-11 in the boat, and that one up today, bite of the day. Let's see if I can break my PB this year. This is Ted from Ted Lincoln's Fishing Life. Welcome to 2022. I'm out.